Well, on my ride today, it's the day after my ride got cut short yesterday. It's Sunday in Ontario, Canada, Toronto more specifically, and it's August the 10th. And yesterday when I started my ride, I touched on the climate lockdowns that were going on in the east coast of Canada. But then my ride got abruptly stopped because I got a flat tire. So anyhow, I changed the tire. I did a video with that. But I want to touch further on the climate lockdowns in Nova Scotia initially. And when I did the video yesterday, I didn't have information with regards to two more provinces following suit, and I knew that was going to happen. I predicted that actually on my Facebook account. I predicted that like 5 days ago, that the first one to shut down, which was Nova Scotia, there'd be other provinces following suit. So subsequently, New Brunswick and Newfoundland have also put a ban on hiking on Crown land, i.e. public forests, and even they recommend don't even go on your own property if you have acreage. So I don't know. So anyhow, so there are fires burning in Newfoundland currently. As of the time I'm doing this video, I still haven't had any information with regards to Nova Scotia having any wildfires, but New Brunswick I believe has wildfires as well. So before I left my house this morning, it's around 10 a.m. I got a late start. I had considering what I've been eating lately, I've had a big breakfast, so hence I got to get out and get some exercise. But having said that, I noticed there is a small fire burning in the Kawartha Lakes region of Ontario, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours northeast of Toronto, which is involving water bombers. Canadair CL-415s. It's a specialty made airplane in Canada that is known and renowned worldwide for its firefighting capabilities. It replaced a CL-215, which was an older piston operated twin engine airplane. The CL-415 is a turboprop. Anyhow, so the fire in Kawartha Lakes region was deemed big enough to bring in water bombers. So about two and a half weeks ago, our Prime Minister Mark Carney, who was, in my estimation, didn't win the election, he was installed. That's my estimation on that, as well as, thousands and thousands of other Canadians. But he summoned a premier's meeting up in Deerhurst, up at Deerhurst Resort in the Muskoka, Huntsville region. And that was, I believe, July 22nd, something like that. It wasn't so long ago. And I think during that, and that's the premiers from all the provinces and territories, I believe during that meeting that this climate lockdown agenda was talked about. I'm not saying with all the premiers. I'm not thinking Danielle Smith from Alberta or Scott Moe from Saskatchewan were involved in those conversations, because in my estimation they have a little more sanity than the rest of them. I don't think they're as easily bought off by the globalists of the world, the World Economic Forum type people. So I'm to understand there's wildfires burning in Manitoba and Saskatchewan now as well. I haven't heard anything about a lockdown there with regards to shutting the trails down to hiking. But yeah, so the fines in Newfoundland for going into the woods unauthorized, it was like a misdemeanor ticket, $75 ticket. And these numbers might not be 100% accurate, but the fines went from $75 to like $100,000 fine. So the fines in Nova Scotia at $25,000 plus a $3,800 victim surcharge, you get a ticket at $28,000 and change. A guy yesterday posted on his YouTube channel, he's an ex-Canadian service member. He went into the police station, told him he's going to go into the woods right outside the police station, which he did. He went back into the police station, and they did indeed issue him a ticket for $28,875, something like that, almost $29,000. So he asked why it was 28 and change instead of 25,000, and they said, well, there's a victim surcharge on there of $3,800. So, you know, where does that money go? Where does that $3,800, well, where does any of the money go? But the victim surcharge, where does that go? You know, obviously it's just it's a deterrent and a cash grab. Like, I don't think he's going to pay it. Like, people are already starting to talk about getting a GoFundMe to pay it. Well, no, it's got to go through the legal system, because this isn't going to stand up in court, in my estimation. And there's legal scholars and lawyers that are actually saying the same thing. I'm neither. I'm just repeating what they said, and actually you don't even need that. You just need common sense. This is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So now, with this fire burning just north of Toronto, northeast, you know, am I expecting our premier, Doug Ford, which is a conservative as well, in name only. He's a WF bought and paid for globalist. It didn't take too much to actually to buy him off, or whatever they did, threaten him with past things that he's done. Maybe they had, I don't know what they did. I'm not going to get into that, but he sold himself out. So I'm just waiting for him to come on the news this week, and it'll be a state-run media source, obviously. It'll be CBC. Well, all of them will. CBC will report it. Globe and Mail, City TV. They're all state-run propaganda media. So I'm expecting him Monday, Tuesday, or sometime next week. But I'm thinking sooner than later. They want to catch the irons while they're hot. And with the fires going on, it doesn't get much hotter than that. So I'm expecting him to implement a hiking ban as well. Just coming through the old mill area of Toronto. Haven't been on this path in a couple weeks. Just going over the old mill bridge here. I believe this bridge was built in 1916. It's a duplicate or a copy of some bridge in England or the UK somewhere. I used to know the history on it, but hey, I'm getting old and I don't remember everything. But how much sense does it make to ban hikers from just hiking, that don't smoke, that have no fire starting apparatus? It doesn't. It makes about the same sense as banning legally vetted and legally licensed gun owners from having guns, because the legal guns in Canada account for a minuscule percentage rate. I'm thinking it's less than 1%. So it's not the legal gun owners, it's not the people that abide by the law that are abusing legal guns. It's the criminals. So it's going to be the same thing with regards to a hiking ban. It's going to be the people, like I said in my video yesterday, it's going to be the people that either are paid to go out and further the liberal ideological causes by promoting climate change. That's why we're having all these forest fires, and it's arson. The highest percentage of causation of forest fires is arson. I would say second would be lightning. Third would be cigarettes, and I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure arson is number one, because whenever the mainstream media says there's a wildfire started, they never mention the possibility of arson until the investigation's launched and the police turn up an arsonist. So then they very rarely, the mainstream media will come out later and say it was arson. It's got to be reported through alternative media sources, citizen journalists, and larger independent media sources that have the capability to have wide-reaching audiences, i.e. in Canada, Rebel News, Northern Perspective, The Fringe, people like that. I can name a few others, but you get the gist of it. This is up in Canada. These are ones in Canada. The ones down in the States, there's a multitude of them as well. But anyhow, it doesn't make much sense. It's planned. It's basically, this is COVID 2.0, whereas they don't want people going into the forest for a multitude of reasons. I'm hearing also in Nova Scotia that there are vast land areas that contain uranium, and the government wants to start gathering up that uranium, so they don't want people snooping around in those areas. That's one thing I heard. I don't know how true that is. Another thing is, excuse me, they don't want people going into the forest to take video of arsonists, because literally everyone has a camera, obviously, on their phone, and it's not like the old days where you get away with things a lot easier. There's friggin' cameras everywhere. So the less prying eyes, the more they can get away with. It's like in Cincinnati there, I don't know, 3 weeks ago when that beating happened of those Russian people, and that one woman that got knocked out by that dude for doing nothing. But anyhow, the police, the white DEI hire woke police chief woman, she blamed people for taking cell phone video. Can you imagine that? Then subsequently I seen video later of the police coming to investigate what happened a half hour later. Yeah, they weren't too keen on actually finding out who did it. So it's basically the way the system's been set up in liberal cities and liberal provinces, and down in the states, in democratic cities and democratic states, they've allowed lawlessness to run rampant, because the people that are running those states and cities and whatnot are very woke in their ideology. They've been indoctrinated into a hate mindset, where they think that whatever was done to their ancestors 150, 160 years ago, it applies today. And with the constant bombardment from the news, pushing a narrative of division and separation within ethnic groups, it has created a frenzy of hatred in major U.S. cities. And you know, I live in the biggest city in Canada. I live in Toronto, and it's obviously up here, not to the extent that it is in L.A., New York, Cincinnati. I didn't even know Cincinnati was as bad as it was, but I've subsequently, since that beating, I've educated myself on Cincinnati and Ohio as a state. Yeah, what a pit Ohio is, oh my lord. But anyhow, you know, I'm one to talk. I live in Canada, Toronto, Canada. So, you know, it's not much better, trust me. But I try to navigate the city the safest way I can. I could be a lot safer by not leaving my house. Like a lot of people I know, they don't even leave their house to go anywhere. So, you know, that's a lot safer for sure. That is a lot safer. But I can't, unfortunately, I can't sit around and do nothing. My mind has to be active. And you know, it's fine if people, you know, don't want to do anything. That's their prerogative, and the only benefit of that is the safety of their life. If you, like I said, you don't leave your house here, you know, what's the likelihood of something happening to you? It's low. So, you know, if you watch my channel, you can see I'm out and about quite a bit, and I put myself in the odd situation that could cause me bodily harm or someone else bodily harm. But I'm very aware of my situational awareness and my demographical awareness. I'm very aware of this. I'm not going to purposely put myself in a situation where I'm going to get beat up, or I'm going to get stabbed, I'm going to get shot. But now, having said that, there was a stabbing close to my house about 2-3 weeks ago, probably closer to 2 weeks ago, and I did a video on it on the crime scene. After the fact, I went by and the police tape was still up, and I was talking to a friend of mine on Facebook in Messenger, and he posted the news clip from CP24. It's our local news station, on my Facebook, on my Messenger. And I said to this person, I said, well, I've already been over the crime scene. I was up at 5 in the morning, and I was over there around between 7 and 8 in the morning. So I already did a video on it. So, but what I said to him, I wonder if it's someone I know, because the homicide, the stabbing about a year earlier, 10 months earlier in my neighborhood, was a homeless person that lived in the plaza lived in the doorways of the plaza where I go get my coffee and meet my brothers and whatnot. And I knew that guy. I just knew his face, and I gave him money a couple times. Well, anyhow, a 13-year-old kid stabbed him to death one night, and then the kid injured himself while committing the murder, because a lot of times when you use an edged weapon, the person using it also cuts themselves. So there was a blood trail that went right by my house. So and the cops were putting cones down in front of my house, and that's how I knew there was an actual murder, because I talked to one of the cops before. He was going to knock on my door, but I beat him to it. But it turns out the person that was stabbed 2.5 weeks ago at Runnymede St. Clair, I did know that person. That information was given to me yesterday, and you know, I don't know the person well, but I know him well enough, and he knows me, and he's a good guy. He's a 55-year-old guy, and he's a good guy. He's a very streetwise guy, very streetwise. So I was when I heard it was this guy that got stabbed, I was like, wow, if that guy can get stabbed, pretty much anyone can get stabbed. And I don't think I can get. Of course I can get stabbed. It's very simple. It's very easy to stab someone, easier to shoot someone. Obviously, it's not as close range and personal. But the backstory on this stabbing of the person that I knew, and the mainstream media reported it as life-threatening, and it turned out it wasn't. It was still serious enough. It was still serious enough that you know, the person had to go to the hospital, and I don't know. I'm not sure if he remained in the hospital overnight or whatever, but he's back out and he's back to work. But the backstory I got, and I can't verify this. I don't know if it's true. This is actually third-hand information I'm getting. I didn't talk to the actual person that I know that got stabbed, but the message was conveyed to me that he was finishing up work and he was riding his bike around 3-4 a.m. in Toronto on, I believe, a Sunday night, and he thought he seen someone that was in distress. A 42-year-old white guy was in distress, and so he stopped, and next thing you know, the guy went crazy on him, so to speak, and they got into a tussle. And the guy ended up stabbing him. So, and he was on a pedal bike, not an e-bike, just a regular pedal bike. And he started to ride away, and he noticed, like, you know, what's wet on him, and he fell down the side of him, and sure enough, he was stabbed. He was poked by this guy. So they caught the guy, and I don't even know. I don't know that the guy was 42. That did the crime, and the guy that I know, my friend, he was 55, my age. So like I said, this guy's a streetwise guy, and he's a tough guy. He's this guy is no fall down. He's a tough guy, stand-up guy. So it was I was shocked to hear he put himself in that situation, but you know what, and that's how easy it can happen.
I think so. Yeah.
That's how easy it can happen. The path is busy today, so I'm just coming up to the Humber Arch Bridge. I'm just going underneath the lakeshore and Queen Elizabeth, or Queensway, Lakeshore, and the Gardner, Queen Elizabeth. Now, I don't think I'm going to go on that path up there today. It's going to be a zoo. I think I'm going to turn around and go back the way I just came and just have a leisurely pace to my day. Yeah, it's going to be way too busy up that way, so I'm going to head back. So, in conclusion, prepare for hiking to be shut down in Ontario this week, in my estimation. I could be wrong, but if it's not this week, it's going to be sooner than later. And the rest of the provinces and territories will probably follow suit. You might get a little pushback from Saskatchewan and Alberta, because their premiers are more in line with rights and freedoms than the rest of the the premiers, and obviously the prime minister is just a globalist financial hatchet man. So you know, he's been compromised at a very young age. They probably got him when he was in Oxford or wherever he went. He's Canadian by birth, but he acts as though he's European, and I don't even think he has a house. Well, maybe he has a house now that's paid for by the Canadian government in Canada, but I think he was living in New York, had an official residence in New York for 10 years, and in the UK. He holds 3 passports: Canada, the UK, and I believe he holds an Irish passport as well. So he's not Canadian. He's just a fugazi. So be prepared, people. In my estimation, there's going to be some major pushback in this country again. There's already rumblings of you know, the trucker convoy 2.0. That's why they made such a spectacle out of Chris Barber and Tamara Leach for mischief charges. They want to make an example of them because they don't want anyone leading that sort of uprising again, because it brought a lot of attention to the country and to their dastardly deeds. So that's why they're you know, they're political prisoners in a sense. But there's going to be someone stepping up, and yeah, and I think it's needed. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, leave them in my my comment section, and I'll get back to you. Enjoy your day wherever you are. Another hot and sunny day in Toronto, Canada.